Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of ChiroSecure Live Events, the leader in avoiding claims backed up by the best malpractice defense. ChiroSecure's live events educate and support you, the practitioner, by making sure you have the information you need to protect you, your practice, and your future. Make sure you stay till the end of today's episode. We're going to show you how to save from 10 to 40% over what you're paying now for your current premium. While you're watching this, right under the video is a Facebook like button. We'd really appreciate if you'd click that button and like our Facebook page. And today we have a very special guest, Dr. Eric Plasker. Dr. Eric Plasker has been an innovative leader in the chiropractic industry for decades through his company, The Family Practice, and his book, The 100-Year Lifestyle. Dr. Plasker has helped thousands of doctors grow by millions of visits, delivering high-integrity, lifetime chiropractic care. Dr. Plasker has been featured extensively in the media and is a sought-after keynote speaker for chiropractic, corporate, university, fitness, and other healthcare events, sharing the stage with the most sought-after health and wellness experts in the world. I'm going to bring on now the man responsible for these ChiroSecure Live events to introduce Dr. Plasker. Here's Dr. Stuart Hoffman. Dr. Stu?
Thanks, Alan. Glad to be back with another live event for all of our doctors. And today, no exception, we have a great show in store. I've known Eric for, 30 years or so, and he has done an outstanding job at helping our profession. Ultimately, that's what it's all about. And the way he's chosen to do that is to help educate our doctors on what he calls the 100-year lifestyle, family practice, something that we have in common from a philosophical perspective. And we're going to discuss today with Dr. Plasker some risk management keys as he shares with us some gems of how he helps doctors transform their practice and see many, many patients. So I want to thank you for coming on, Dr. Plasker, and being with the ChiroSecure audience today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stu Hoffman, my friend. And yes, we do go back a long way, 30 years. I think we were just graduating from kindergarten back then, correct?
Yeah, well, I was. I'm not sure about you. but I want to start the show today, Eric. If I can talk with you a little bit about retention. A lot of doctors don't even understand the whole concept of retention. And to me, there's only three ways to grow a practice, right? More new patients, retain the ones you get even better, or a combination. You do both, which is what we all prefer. And you promote high retention with your doctors. And can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. And high retention practice building for any doctor, I believe, is extremely important, especially if you, as a doctor yourself, if you are under regular chiropractic care yourself. Think about it. Do you get checked by a chiropractor at least once a year? Of course you do. Once every 6 months. Most of you probably at least that. Once every 3 months, once a month. Some of you once a weekers. If you have been doing that for any length of time, and you're probably going to do that throughout the rest of your life, then you are a high retention chiropractic utilizer yourself. And the reason why you probably do that is you believe in it. You know that it's good for you. You know that it's good for your family. You cannot imagine your life without it. And so because of that, it is a core part of your lifestyle. Now, the question that I have for you as a doctor is, why aren't all of your patients doing that? Are you at least presenting that as an option? Are you impeccable at communicating the importance and the value of that to people? Because here's what I learned, Stu, like you have learned, I'm sure, many times over, that if you get, and let's just pick a number of 20 new patients a month. If you get 20 new patients a month, that's 240 new patients a year. In 10 years, that's 2,400 new patients. In 30 years of practice, like you and I have done, that's 7,500 new patients. Most of those people, if you are not good at high retention practice building, most of those people, for most of the doctors, are ending up as inactive files. That is a waste of incredible talent, human potential, etc., or a compromise of it for sure. While on the other side, if even a third of those people or half of those people participated in chiropractic care, like you and I, every one of your listeners here today, our listeners here today, would have 5 associates and be on a beach while we thought about great ways to make this world a healthier place together. So it's profitable, the most profitable, and it's essential that the congruency that you live in your own life chiropractically is transferred to your community and your patients.
Yes, I'm in agreement 100% about being congruent with what you would do for yourself. That's one of the things that we always would talk about, is treating our patients the same way we would want to be treated if it were us or our family. In fact, that's how we treat people in this business, and I know you do the same in your business. But when we talk about, you know, long-term care, whether it be, you know, whatever label you're going to share with our audience, I think that the audience really needs to understand what you were saying, and that is, you know, if we think it's good enough to be checked every single week, or even the heck with every single week, if we have a large portion of our chiropractors in the audience today thinking that, well, at least once a month, let's get checked, and then if something develops during that time frame, maybe we'll come back and get checked 3 or 4 times to get over the hump, and then back onto once a month type plan for ourselves. Well, you're talking about somewhere between 12 and maybe 20 visits on the once a month plan. You're talking on once a week up to 52 visits a year. So even somewhere between 12 and 52 visits times how many years? A minimum of 30 for you and myself, although for me it's been a lot longer. But we're talking into the thousands for retention. And for those that don't understand retention, what your retention number is, it's your average number of visits based on your new patients. So if you get in a month's time 20 new patients and saw 300 visits a week, then what's your retention, Eric?
60, I believe. That's 1,200 visits a month divided by 20 new patients a month would be 60, would be the retention in the practice that you described.
Right, which most people that we are communicating with right now do not have.
Not even most people, not even close. And here's the thing: is that that's the equivalent of, you think about, and just go back to yourself as a listener. How often do you get checked? Most of you on the line are probably getting checked once a week, once every 2 weeks, at the latest once a month. And so here's the thing about retention. Retention is all about trust. It's about honesty. It's about relationships. It's about doing a really good job. It's about communicating value to people so that they understand it, and not being a salesperson all the time about it, but creating value for people so that they want it for themselves. You know, what I've learned in high retention practices, is we have trained chiropractors all over the world to do this, is that it's not a chase game. You're not constantly chasing after people. There's really, you know, the recall system is totally different in a high retention practice. It's not like, Mary, can you please come back? Can you please come back? I beg you to come back. I mean, that's not what we're doing. It's like, you know, Mary, what happened to you? We missed you. Where are you? And they're like, oh my God, Dr. Plasker, oh my goodness gracious, I had to go out of town in an emergency. I'm so sorry. I'll be back Tuesday. Can I come in on Wednesday? It's a completely different type of relationship. And the people, they appreciate the care. They understand it. They usually do bring their families because they don't want to go through it, the care by themselves. They want to be healthy over the long haul. And, you know, at least we need to become experts at giving people the option of that.
I'm glad that you said we don't want to be salespeople in a sense, because I think that so many of the chiropractors that, especially newer ones getting into practice, but I think it runs the gamut, find that they're in a selling mode rather than an educational one, which is what I'm hearing from you. Because I think that when people are given the right information, more often than not, they make the right choices and will invest in those choices. Is that what your experience says?
Absolutely, and it's giving people the right information, Dr. Stu, but it's also about the packaging. One of the challenges is that much of the packaging that doctors are utilizing are outdated packages. They don't really speak to people's core values. They're very narrow in the way they communicate. We're very good at communicating with each other. I call it the difference between peers versus people. We have an article on our website right now on peers versus people communication at thefamilypractice.net, which really explains a little bit further what I'm talking about here. And we're so used to talking to each other that many of us, not great at talking to the public. And so when we get out into the public, we are hard selling people all the time. That is not healthy, in my very humble opinion. To get people to buy into what we're doing, we don't have to get people in headlocks and give them noogies. You know what I mean? Come on, you're going to do it, you're going to do it. We don't have to do that. It's a matter of speaking to people's core values, making it real for them, what's in it for them, what's important for them. And you know, one of the things I really learned a lot about packaging when I wrote The 100-Year Lifestyle, because you know, that's a message that went out global. It's had hundreds of millions of media impressions, CNN, Discovery Channel, Fox, you know, all over the place. I mean, I can go on and on, Martha Stewart. But here's the thing, because we're speaking to the people. We're speaking their language, not our own language. Whereas the chiropractic lifestyle, quote unquote, got a literally, you know, don't come near me from the publishing houses. When we just changed the name to the 100-Year Lifestyle and talked about the same longevity and human potential package as the 100-Year Lifestyle, we had a bidding war. And so I learned a lot about packaging and communication. And so it's important that if you're struggling to create new patients that become lifetime patients and lifetime families, look at not just what you're saying, but how you're saying it and the overall package that you're delivering it in.
So let's talk a little bit about the risk management aspect of seeing high volumes of patients, but through what I would consider proper retention. And I think that it creates a unique set of risk management tools to deal with. One of the things that I wanted to touch on with you is something like documentation. What do you actually promote and teach to the doctors that are seeing patients and transitioning them from crisis care on? Can you touch on that for us a little bit?
Absolutely. We have, you know, in the family practice, in the 100-Year Lifestyle model, we have a continuum. We call it the lifestyle care continuum. We have crisis care, the critical transition to lifestyle care. And the crisis care is the portion of the care that is partially covered by insurance. In today's day and age, nobody's got 100% coverage, so very rarely do you see that. So it's partially covered, and we let people know, and the rest is your responsibility. Then this critical, that is the part of the care that is medically necessary. That is, if you're going to get reimbursement from it, you have to document it for the insurance companies so that you get the proper reimbursement. Now, the critical transition to lifestyle care, this is the portion of the care that's clinically appropriate. It's certainly appropriate to get that care. It's an important choice for individuals and families, but this is not covered in our world by third-party pay, and we draw a very fine line. When we talk to our doctors and we train our doctors, we let them know that it is important that when crisis care is over and people have relief and stability, then don't continue to bill. So we have heard doctors who have been billing lifetime patients every year, 12, 18, 20 visits a year, 30 visits a year, some of them, and some of them are really, it's coming back to bite them. We do not recommend that you do that. We recommend that you draw the line at crisis care, you document that care, you document it for the insurance companies, you document it appropriately, you put it in your computer system, you're very thorough and complete, and then you dismiss that piece of the care, and then you have the critical transition to lifestyle care, which is not covered by insurance. It's cash only, but it's still important to document it. You must document it. The days of where the cash practitioner or you know, all cash, or the, you know, even the box on the wall people who, if you're still around and you're still doing that way out of date system, which I don't think you probably promote, and we don't think it's a good idea either. But even in that case, you have to document. So you have to keep records. If you're seeing people, you have to document it. It's just For one set, the crisis care, the documentation is specifically for the insurance company in that moment. And then ongoing, that critical transition to lifestyle care documents what you're doing so you have a record of it just in case, God forbid, you need it.
So just to recap from what I heard you say is that once we're done with crisis care, the patient should be dismissed from an insurance claim if you're dealing with insurance and put onto a more of what most of the people listening will call wellness, using your continuum as well. And once we do that, you still need to document, no different than if they were still a brand new patient. And it's one of the things that I want to reinforce, because I really appreciate you saying that. What a lot of the doctors that call me don't seem to always understand is that it's not documenting for the sake of just documenting for insurance companies. It's documenting because, A, your license depends on it, because every state every state licensing board has certain requirements for documentation for new patients versus ongoing patients. And the second thing, which certainly applies to us, is the number one reason people lose a malpractice claim is because they didn't document correctly, or not enough, or sometimes, quite frankly, not at all. And, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it's important because, listen, we have all had lifetime patients in our practice, at least I hope we have, that we have taken care of for years and years and years, and God forbid, let's say that person gets in an accident, and then you open up a new claim. So their lifestyle care is suspended. They have a new injury. You do a new examination. You check them out thoroughly, and now maybe you're billing some third party. Maybe there's an attorney involved, or maybe there was a work injury, and so now you're dealing with the human resources department, and they're going to want to know, okay, well, this person, they've been under your care for the last 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years. Can you send us those records so that we could compare this current injury to maybe what they have been experiencing in the past? And if you have those records, you're going to help that patient a lot, and you're going to do a really good job, and you're going to be able to represent what you do in a first-class kind of way. And if you don't, then that's not going to look good for you, and that could be a reason why that patient chooses not to come back to you, even though they loved you for all of those years. But now when they needed you, not just for the care, they needed you for the support because of this new injury, and you weren't there for them. You didn't do a good job for them. You didn't show up for them. So yes, absolutely, that documentation is important across the board.
Let's talk a little bit about the other difference of a high retention practice, and that is one of relationship between the doctor and the patient, or the doctor and the family. Can you describe that a little bit to us?
Absolutely. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. When you are doing a great job, the key is you got to give really good care. You got to be a really good adjuster. You got to be a good listener. We call it bond, listen, lead, where you listen to that person and you listen to them what they say, but you also listen to them innately. You get in tune with their spine and their nervous system. You build a relationship with them based around a healthy spine and nervous system, the ideal function of their body. They know that you care for their full potential as a human being. You see them that way. You don't see them as a red hunk of meat, and you develop that bond, and it's a beautiful bond. There's authentic, caring support. They bring you cookies at Christmas, which is certainly not always the 100-year lifestyle way, but a cookie every now and then certainly is an expression of love because they appreciate you over the holidays, and it's really special, and the relationships are really, really important. And as time goes on, you get to see the children, the babies that you take care of, graduate from high school, and you know that you took care of them all of those years. And you see the parents become grandparents, and then you take care of 3 and 4 generations of families. And when you build a practice, and you brought up a good point earlier, Stu, you talked about to grow a practice, you either need more new patients, you need them to stay longer, or the third piece is you could do both. But the other third thing is to get the people that are coming in to spend more money with you. Well, high retention gets them to stay with you longer, spend more money with you. But here's the other side that's really a beautiful thing, is your referral base of people that refer to you stays active. It stays active. You keep your referral source active. And so it's really a special thing. So as time goes on, you increase your new patients, and now the new patients are not just coming in for the quick fix. They're coming in for exactly why everybody else is coming in, even though they may have a certain condition. They're coming in with that condition and they want lifetime care, or they're coming in with that problem and they want lifetime care. And listen, here's the reality. We're getting those 10, 15, 20, 30 new patients a month anyway. We're already getting them anyway. So why would we just want to revolving door them into an inactive file when with really good education that was ongoing, that was meaningful to them, they stuck around longer, and then you enjoy those relationships and, of course, the profit that comes with that for a really long time.
So you're talking about, which I appreciate, both the service and the business. And as both of us at one time were taught, the service hand needs to meet the business hand, because it doesn't matter how good you are as a chiropractor. If you don't have any patients in front of you and you can't pay the bills, it's useless. So I can appreciate that.
And not only that, if the patients, if you do have them in front of you, but then all of a sudden they're not.
Yes.
Because they disappear. Boy, that can be so frustrating.
Absolutely. And I want to also, point out that when you are seeing patients over a longer haul, to me, it's a lower risk than turning new patients over and cycling them nonstop. Not that you don't want to keep having that influx of new patients, but a long-term patient is a safer patient because you do have that relationship. And don't forget, generally speaking, people do not sue people that they like. And in order for them to keep coming in, two things have to have happened. They need to trust you, and you have to have gotten the results. And in order to trust you, there has to be some affinity where you're having a good relationship with each other. And as a result of all of that, the risk in terms of the practice becomes lower. And I think that that's a great thing. So,
it is a great thing. And I'll share a quick story with you. I really got to appreciate this early on in my career, being a lifetime patient myself as a chiropractor, just like many of our listeners and you. And one of our committed lifetime patients was in a car accident. They ended up where they went to their attorney. They had a claim. They came back to our office. They got an examination. We took x-rays, went through their care. We released them from their accident case. They continued to be a lifetime patient. And then the insurance company and the attorney both tried to basically steal the money, the care, all of that from us in a really underhanded kind of way. And what is very interesting, that I see a lot of people that come over to what we do, and we see them where they have experiences where that has also happened to them in some way, shape, or form. And if the patient is not a lifetime patient, they are not on your side to help you get paid, get reimbursed, to look after you, to watch your back. Well, this particular patient literally said to me, Dr. Plasker, I'm going right up to that attorney's office. I'm going right up into that insurance company's office, and I will make sure that they take care of this account. I want to make sure that you're taken care of. You're our doctor. Your office is our doctor. We're going to make sure you're taken care of. So the interesting thing about it, as you talk about relationships and affinity, you end up building a practice around people that care about you and your family and what you do for them and the meaning you have in their life, not just about them getting those results in that given moment. That makes practice so much more enjoyable, I got to tell you.
absolutely. Let's shift a little bit to, let's talk about patients that actually do leave. What mistakes do you see our fellow chiropractors making that causes them to have that hole in the bottom of the bucket where the patients are leaving the practice?
Great question. Several different things. The first thing is that they're not presenting a bigger picture up front. I think the biggest reason why people leave is that they are not giving people the big idea right up front. We have found in our world, at least by immersing people in the 100-year lifestyle vision, that message that is lifetime care oriented, that we give them that big vision right up front, which includes the smaller vision. So the big idea includes the smaller idea, which is different than what a lot of chiropractors do, is they try to just get people to accept a little bit of care today, and then they upsell and upsell and upsell and upsell and upsell, or try to upsell or try to upsell, and they're constantly selling. It gets old to the patient, it gets old to the doctor. So the better way to do it is to give the big idea up front and give people options that are all inclusive, and then don't be a jerk if people choose just a little bit. Love them, serve them anyway. You're there to be their chiropractor, serve them anyway. So that's the first thing. Give them the big idea up front and stop selling every visit, every visit, every visit. The next thing that is really important, as you evolve in their care and a patient evolves in their results, it is important that you evaluate your adjusting style with that person. If somebody's on their 53rd visit and they're doing really well, you're going to need to give less thrust, less of an adjustment typically than the person that is in acute care or that has a lot going on. So you have to be able to and be willing to adjust your adjustments accordingly as the patient evolves. And so that's where we talk about bond, listen, and lead. You have to tune into that patient every single visit, especially as your practice starts to get busy. You integrate some of these things that we're talking about here. Your volume is going to go up. You have to develop the ability as a practitioner, as a chiropractor, and as a human being to be intuitive and aware of each person, present time conscious with each person on every visit. If it's a 3rd visit person and an 80th visit person, you have to be able to, in that moment, leave the other person in the other room and go into this new room and be present with that person that is there, so that that person gets the appropriate care from you in that given moment in time. Very, very important. Not doing that will cause people to leave. Another thing that will cause people to leave, very important, if somebody has a new injury or they are not responding the way that they think they should, do not blow it off. Do not sweep it under the rug. Let them know they were heard. Do an additional exam. Do a further re-exam if necessary. Refer them out to a different chiropractor or to another type of practitioner if necessary. Don't try to be a superhero all the time, and don't ignore people if they give you those hints that something is not right. You have to be a good listener. You must be a good listener so that you can tune into that individual person's need, and don't be afraid. You know, I remember we had a patient that we believed that they had a tumor, and I don't diagnose tumors. I wouldn't know how. I mean, I could understand the signs of a possible tumor, and so, you know, I said to that person, I said, listen, you know what, there's something here that concerns me. I'm not quite sure what it is. I didn't diagnose the problem. I said, but this is something that I believe you need to have looked at further. They went and had it looked at further. They were really glad they did, because they did get diagnosed with a tumor. And you know what? They went down the road for that kind of care because they needed it, and they also came back to still get chiropractic care because they understood, based on what we taught them, that a healthy spine and nervous system is essential for a healthy life and for healing. So you won't lose people. You can't be afraid to lose people. You have to be willing to do the right thing so that you truly help people, and they always come back if you do the right thing. They always come back if you do the right thing. So that's just a couple of tips that I think are important, ongoing, Dr. Stu, that will help people retain more patients.
There's so many things that you're sharing that I think are just massively helpful for the doctors. I do want to touch on a couple of them, though, because remember, I take all the phone calls. And some of the calls that I get, it's really about the patient did not feel that they were heard. They wanted someone to understand what they were going through. They felt like the doctor didn't even hear them. So I just want to echo how important that really is. And the other thing, you mentioned about being present with somebody. And whenever I have a doctor call me up where there's a specific situation that took place, and the doctor's concerned about it, and we go through and talk about what they could do at this point to help put an end to the situation before it escalates into an actual claim or whatever. At the end of the conversation, we always talk about what lessons are there. And I never leave the conversation without reminding that doctor, when they go back in the room and deal with their next patient, they need to take some breaths, clear themselves out a little bit, and figure out how to be 1% more present than they were before. 1% more present, 1% more focused, because the patients will pick that up. The patients always know when you are sidetracked or when you are right there with them. And it's not always about how long you spend with them, it's about how present you are with them. So your words were exactly what I want people to hear, and I want to echo for them. I find that to be terrific, and that's one of the reasons we support you, Eric, in what you do and what you teach with the 100-year lifestyle and family practice. So congratulations on that, but I just wanted to echo that. And I just want to get toward the latter of the program by saying this. All of us believe that chiropractic should be the hub of healthcare. Why not? I mean, that's exactly the way it should be. And I wanted to know from you, what are you finding out there that the doctors either should talk about or say, or maybe things that they shouldn't, that are blowing up patients that could be taking advantage of lifetime care but aren't, based on the communication from the doctor?
Great question, and I am going to answer this question maybe from a different perspective than where you asked it, but I'm going to answer the question. And here's what I think one of our challenges is, Dr. Stu, is that, listen, we live in a world that is in desperate need of new healthcare leadership. The medical establishment has become literally the leading cause of death, or the top 3 leading causes of death, depending on who you read. I give a lot of talks to the public, and I give a lot of talks to prospective chiropractic students at Life University. I'll be at Life West coming up here. I've done it all over the country, all over the world. And here's what we have realized, is that the people don't know that we even offer this option. The world has chiropractic in a crap box. They don't know what we do. They don't understand what we do. How it got here is not that important anymore, only because it would take us a million years to get us out of the crap box of what the world, and when I say crap, I'm saying C-R-A-P, crap box. They don't know what we do. So what's important is that if you keep yourself immersed in that world without providing a leadership vision for people, then your entire world becomes centered around answering questions that are inside the crap box, that really have nothing to do with what we do, that are trying to get people to understand chiropractic from a paradigm that we don't even want them to be in. So one of the reasons, and one of the things that I believe is important, especially as it relates to longevity, we live in a world where we are the first generation in history, I don't use those words lightly, that is getting the advance notice that whether we like it or not, want to or not, we're probably going to live longer than we ever thought. So this generation of 100-year-old people, 90-year-old people were let down by the current establishment, most of them rotting away as human preservatives in nursing homes. And their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren are seeing the suffering of their family tree, thinking to themselves, I have those genes, but I don't want to be like that. Somebody show me the way. Somebody give me a vision. Give me a different way to live. Show me leadership. I believe that rather than trying to answer everybody's questions from within inside the paradigm that created this insanity in the first place, that we need to deliver a new paradigm to the people that chiropractors can lead. You cannot age well without a healthy spine and nervous system. You cannot function well during every stage of life, from newborn babies to seniors and everything in between, without a healthy spine and nervous system. It is essential for quality of life as you age, and it helps people heal from conditions. So I believe that to get out of that crap box and free ourselves up as a profession, we must bam the world with vitalistic content that speaks to the core values of people from a leadership perspective. It has been a core mission of what we do. In everything that we do, I think it would be great for all of us to adopt at least that philosophy and mindset.
Wow. I hope that I can only believe that the people that have listened to this show today have gotten so much information and inspiration. What you had to offer is magnificent, and it's something, as I said earlier, I totally support. One of the things to add to your story, my great-grandmother used to go see Willie the chiropractor in 1905. And she lived to be the oldest relative in our family. But she was the one that saw a chiropractor her entire life and actually turned the rest of the family onto chiropractic over the years. So it is something that I can speak from authority because of experience, not even just my own personal experience, but my family's experience way back when. Getting chiropractic into your healthcare regime, it's not an option. We need people to understand that it is essential and their life depends on it, and educating patients is where it's at. Again, not having to sell them, not hard selling, not going after the money. Money's a byproduct of taking care of people, being good at what you do, being proficient, being a master at getting people well by adjusting them with skill, but then also educating them, as you called, to the big picture, and then bringing it down to an everyday model for each and every patient. So I want to thank you, Eric, for being with us. Thanks for being a good friend, being a friend of ChiroSecure, being a friend of mine, and we're always out there to support you in what you do. So thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure, Stu. Appreciate all you do as well, and proud to be a ChiroSecure client.
Thanks. So, Alan, do you want to close out for us?
Absolutely. First, I want to say that what we're going to do is we are going to leave this video on the ChiroSecure Live Events page so that you could watch it and listen to it again and again. And I highly recommend that you send a link to this page to all your peers, because this thing was backed with gem after gem after gem. Now, I have a couple of things to go over with you. On the page that you're at, if you look right to the right of the video, you'll actually see a picture of Dr. Plasker. And if you've not already put your name and email in that form so you get a copy of the notes and transcripts, please do that now. Right above that, you're going to see an invitation to join the concierge service of ChiroSecure. What this allows you to do is be notified of all future events and automatically get a copy of the notes as well as a copy of any transcripts. So you don't have to worry if you can't make one show. When you get to the concierge page, you're going to have 3 choices. And the third choice is specifically for those people that would like to save 10 to 40% on their current premiums. Just check that little box off, and what will happen is a form will pop up. It'll take you 2 minutes to fill it out, and one of our people at ChiroSecure will go ahead and contact you and show you how you could save money. On behalf of myself, Dr. Alan Weinstein, and of course Dr. Stu Hoffman, the man responsible for all these live events, and a great show with Dr. Eric Plasker, we thank you for coming, and we look forward to seeing you again next month. Have a great day, everybody.